Hello, everyone. Griffin here with Coach Kim. This is gonna be a quicker one today. We've got a couple of things we want to hit on. We've got a topic of fasting, our thoughts, our experiences with it. Do we suggest it? So we're gonna hit on that. And then the second one, we're gonna start talking about maintenance. Uh, that's the one I kind of initially wanted to dive into, but we're gonna hit the other one first. So fasting, is one of those things that it's newer, at least to me. When I first got into the fitness space 20 years ago, nobody ever talked about fasting, or at least nobody talked to it about me. Um, but it's become more and more talked about. More and more people have done it. More people have an opinion on it, whether it's for them or not for them. So we're going to talk about that. I can tell you about my personal experiences doing it and some of the different things, but I don't think it's going to be a black and white answer for either of us. But we can certainly start with that. So, Coach Kim,
Yep.
um, when it gets brought up, are people usually asking you, should I fast? Are there benefits of fasting? I do fast. Like, how does it all start with you in that conversation?
Different for different people. I do have people that fast and they come to me letting me know that they do that. And please, if you're a client of mine and you do fast or you have been fasting, let me know.
Yeah.
The bigger question is that I ask if somebody brings up fasting, I say, what are you trying to get out of it? Are you trying to fast to drop weight? Because if that is your reasoning, you don't have to do that. If it's for religious reasons and things like that, then that's something that we can work into your program. So that's where I start is why do you, just like when somebody wants to take a supplement, what are you trying to fix? What are you trying to accomplish by it? So
So we're gonna
that's
so
where I
we're
would
gonna
go.
look at this the exact same ways that we look at anything.
Yeah.
Why are we doing it? What would be the benefits? Or, so the exact same approach. I think that's a good rule of thumb.
Right. Right.
So for me, and fasting can mean a lot. What are you fasting for an 18-6 split? I know Coach Kim did a 3-day, 72-hour fast earlier this year for long-term health benefits. Certainly nothing that sounds like she wants to do all too
I
frequent
don't want to
from.
do that again.
Oh, I think we have to have a discussion on what type of fasting you're wanting to do. So
100%.
the most common type of fast that I hear is people that want to eat over a shortened window of time. That's usually going to be between 6 and 8 hours. Is that kind of the timeline that you hear people talk about, Kim?
No, I hear people kind of trying to push it to kind of the limit and only eat like once a day or twice a day.
Okay.
And the research, because I've looked into this a lot, I've done fasting because I like to try everything out there just so I can speak to it from my own personal experience. Like you said, I did a 3-day water fast because it was supposed to be really good for arthritis. What I found out really quickly with that, because I was talking to a functional medicine friend at the time, she said, never do a water fast without electrolytes. It's hard on your kidneys. So
Okay.
that was something did my
Yeah.
research, so I was doing that anyway. But it can be hard on your kidneys, so make sure you know what you're doing before you just say, I'm not going to eat anything and just drink water, that type of thing. The fasting that I recommend in the fasting, depending upon what you're going for, right? Um, the fasting that seems to have the most benefits, not weight loss benefits, right? But the benefits for cellular rest and all of this kind of stuff is that fast from your dinner to the time you break your fast with breakfast. I mean, that's how it got that name.
Sure.
And I think it's more of that 10 to 14 hours seems to have the highest amount of benefits associated with it, more on that cellular level. However, what's going to take a hit is your protein intake and stuff like that. So once again, it kind of goes back to why are you trying to do this? If you're doing it for weight loss, as soon as you eat again, that your weight's going to bounce back up. If you're doing it for a certain period of time, how long can you actually do this? We're looking for sustainability, consistency over time, like with anything.
So to me, it's more of a gimmicky type deal. I know there are people that swear by it, but for me, I want to look and approach everything as is it sustainable, right? So is the thought of eating over a single meal or a small window of time, is that something that's realistic in my life or something I desire in my life? And the answer is no. So if your answer is no, I can't do this for the long haul. I might be able to do this for a week. I would probably suggest just staying away from it altogether. I would rather have you create habits and discipline and structure into something that you can apply every single day, every single week, so that we're not doing this all the time. So the exciting thing about fasting or cleansing or some of these early things is it gives you a false sense of success early on because you may be losing. I spoke with someone the other day, they started some sort of cleanse and they're like, I lost 5 pounds this week. Right. And I didn't want to be the one that just burst their bubble, but I was the one that burst their bubble. I said, you may have lost 5 pounds on the scale, but you certainly didn't lose 5 pounds of body fat, which is the goal. And
Yeah.
then week 2 of whatever they were doing, they're like, I didn't change at all. I said, okay. So you got to look at things over a little bit of a bigger window of time. So if it's not sustainable, I don't suggest it. If you're eating over a smaller window because it helps you stay in your caloric allotment, then I think it can be a benefit to you. So I usually suggest, especially when you're cutting weight, there's a lot of times people eat during the day that are probably not necessary, maybe some unnecessary snacks, just build bigger meals.
Yep.
So if I'm eating dinner at between 5 and 7, which is probably 90% of the time, that's my window. I don't eat breakfast until between 7 and 9 usually. So you're already looking at a 12 to 14 hour fast, if you want to call it that. I just sort of eat when I'm awake. So
But
that,
eating your snacks after dinner, and that's probably the best fast that you're gonna go on.
yeah, I mean, that's certainly that's where 9 out of 10 people go wrong is late at night when they're sitting around their house, they have less structure, they have free time, and that's when those urges are
Boredom.
up. So are there benefits to it? I think you can ask 100 different people. You might have 100 different opinions. For me, I don't personally like it. That's not to say that it can't be right for you, but I think the thing that's challenging is going to be hitting your protein target. So, I just recently started eating 1 pound of 93.7 grass-fed beef every day. It's 640 calories and like 92 proteins. If I just eat that, I'm not even halfway to my protein goal and I'm full. Like it's really hard to eat. Let's just say the average female is between 100 and 150 grams of protein a day, kind of somewhere in that window for most people, not everyone. That's a high volume of food. So might not be possible because your calories are going to be the number one thing. Your protein is going to be the second thing. And if you can't do both of those in that fasting window, then I think you're really restricting yourself on the level of success you can have.
100%. And don't forget, I mean, really, no adult should be below 100 grams of protein. I don't care what you weigh. Just get your protein in, and it's really hard to do it in a couple meals.
Yeah.
And that's why even I suggest the 5, because a lot of women, they can't eat that much at one time. So that's where the snacks come in, especially if you're having those healthier protein dense snacks. The other thing, gals, you got to be careful with the fasting, because if if you're stressed out, if you're, on your cycle, if you're not sleeping well, all of those things spike that cortisol level. Guess what fasting does? It can also spike that cortisol level. So just make sure that you're doing it for the reason, and is it getting you the results that you want? If it's more of a spiritual thing, then that's a little bit different,
Sure.
and we can navigate that. But if you're just trying to lose some extra weight fast, slow and steady is always going to win the race. It's going to win the longevity race, the keep the weight off race. Otherwise, you're doing this and it's just it's another yo-yo.
Right.
When I fasted, I gained weight because I was so hungry. By the time I got to my freaking meal, I was just like the Tasmanian devil in a trough. I mean, I'm like, well, this obviously doesn't work for me.
I like the thought of being more flexible with everything, and fasting kind of boxes me into what I want to do and how I want to live life. So,
Yeah.
not for me. I've tried it. I've done it. I've done more than just tried it. I've done it. Um, maybe in a 30-day allotment is probably the longest, but for me, it's not for me. But that's my approach on it. So, second
Yeah.
thing, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is just not helping you get to your goal. It's helping you maintain and stay there until you're ready to go after another goal, right? So that maintenance phase. So if you've gone through our program, you know that we always talk about 3 phases, that diagnostic phase where we're going to figure out what you're currently doing, your likes, your dislikes, how your body's responding, probably more importantly than anything. And then we can start game planning for that. So that recomposition phase is the next phase. That's where we're hitting that target weight, that body composition, getting into a certain size clothes, whatever your goals may be. The third phase is where I think so many people fall short. So if somebody, for instance, has a goal of getting to 150 pounds or 200 pounds or whatever their goal may be, depending on the person, oftentimes people want to look at that as like they're crossing the finish line of a race, right? The problem with that is then your habits slowly start going backwards. So I don't care if it's you training for a marathon, you get done with the race, your running schedule the next week is not going to be anywhere near what it was because you finished what you were doing. Same thing with programs like 75 hard. People look forward to day 76 more than anything because they don't have to do all of these things. They accomplished what they set out for.
You can go back to easy.
Yeah, really easy. So maintenance is a different phase because what we want to do is we want to get everything optimized in your life at that point. So that's boosting calories, that's getting your hormones optimizing at the highest level, that's bumping up your resting metabolic rate as much as possible. That's getting into something that you can do for the long haul. One of the things that people have is, do I have to track forever? I think that's a big question, or I think it's, if you look at it as a nuisance, it's always going to be a challenge. Me personally, I wouldn't say I love tracking. I don't mind it really when I'm doing it. The issue I have with tracking is when I'm not following the game plan I know I should be, then it becomes a nuisance, a pain in the butt, and I easily can lie to myself and say tracking stinks. But when you're eating on a schedule, you know, I just created a post the other day that talked about creating meals in your MyFitnessPal. Make it simple. You can make this as easy as you want for yourself. And when you make it simple, it's a lot easier to stay on track. And I think maintenance can be really, really easy. Again, nobody cares what you looked like yesterday. Like, where do you look today? How do you feel today? How do we want to look and feel down the road? And finding out some maintenance steps for yourself is going to be really important.
And yeah, everything that you said is spot on. And I would also say that when I talk to my clients about phase 3, that's about building those calories back up. And hopefully they are even higher than the calories that you come to us consuming. And I think this is where our program is so different than any other program. Every other program out there kind of leaves you in that deficit. You do not stay in a deficit forever. And that's why in the past, where your confidence in your ability to get those calories higher is so much less, because you've had to do it on your own. And
Right.
then, like what Griffin had said, all of a sudden you end up just going back into your old chapter. That's not phase 3. Phase 3 is not just, okay, I'm done. Now I'm going to go do what I used to do, because you'll end up back where you used to be, which is all those failed times before. Where our program is in phase 2, what we're trying to do is make you metabolically better, turning up the furnace, turning up that fuel, making your body's, fuel fighting fire just as high as it possibly can be. How do we do that? By reducing body fat, not just scale weight. When we get your muscle mass higher in that body, your muscle mass can stay here the whole time in that deficit, because it's really hard to build lean muscle mass in a deficit. Body fat is high when you start. As that body fat drops down, it looks as though your muscle mass has gone up. It hasn't. You just see it a whole lot more. And now as we give you more calories, you're burning at a higher rate, because muscle burns 7 times more than body fat does. I think what we're great at is turning you into the calorie burners. So when you come to us consuming 1,200 calories because you think you have to starve yourself to drop weight, and then we retrain your brain going, oh my gosh, I can actually eat on this program and drop weight. Yes. And by the time you leave, you want those calories as high as humanly possible. How are you going to do that? By prioritizing weightlifting, by prioritizing your protein. Let's turn your body into a calorie eating machine. If you are lacking in those 2 areas, it's harder to get your calories higher. So if you like to consume food and eat like I do, to eat like Griffin does, you're not a rabbit. You don't want to sit there and have to chew on celery sticks for the rest of your life. Get your protein in, get the weight bearing in, and let's really turn your body into that fuel burning source from your younger days. Remember, metabolism hardly changes. I think they say
Right.
from 17 to your mid 70s, it doesn't change. What does is your muscle mass has been decreasing since the age of 30. We got to keep it higher. Muscle equates to metabolism. So if you want your maintenance phase to be easy, having more calories is going to make it a hell of a lot easier. I have a 3 pound, 3 day rule with every single person who's done with me. Keep weighing yourself. If you don't want to weigh your food all the time, that's
Yeah.
your choice. But if your weight is up for 3 pounds for more than 3 days, it's not muscle because you're not building it that fast. You're going
Yeah.
backwards.
I think one of the mindset stuff, things that we really focus on people is continuing to try to elevate yourself to another level, right? So maintenance in some capacities, I think is you could almost look at it as settling. So I love the thought that let's get someplace that you're happy, but I also believe that people need goals. People need a direction for what they want to push because when you have something in mind that you want to go for, your effort and your focus is going to grow. So maybe it just changes. Maybe it's not, I'm trying to lose 50 pounds anymore because I hit that goal. Well, let's go through part of our caloric rebuild phase, part of that maintenance phase. And then once we sit there, like, let's set something else up. Let's go for something different. Let's go for some new goals. And I don't care what those are. That's certainly something, a conversation you can have with your coach. But when you have a new goal, it's going to drive you to continue to be more. What's really hard is treading water in life with your fitness forever. It's really hard to just say, I'm right where I want to be, and this is all I'm going to do. It's just hard because things tend to go up or they go down, and it goes backwards seemingly way faster. But people can get really complacent. So not tracking your food, it's really easy to go backwards. And you're going to hear it from everyone. I can gain weight way faster than I can lose it. You're right, because you can eat in a caloric surplus way more than you can get into that deficit. But think about this. Let's just say we're losing about a pound a week. That's going to be about 500 calories in a deficit a day. So 3,500 calories equates to 1 pound of body fat. So if your body burns 2,000 calories a day through life, working out, sleeping, everything, and we eat 1,500, at the end of that week, we should be down 1 pound. Now, when we start building our calories up, you're going to probably find that you're going to be able to even get your maintenance above that 2,000. So now you can start eating 600, 700, 800, maybe even 900 or 1,000 more calories than you were when you were losing it. It just takes time to get there. You can't just flip a switch and you're there tomorrow. It just takes time. So if you have a little bit of patience, maintenance
And
can be
muscle has a lot to do with that. That number.
Everything.
If
Everything.
you want more calories, build some freaking muscle mass.
Just real quick story. So Kim and I worked with a couple of sisters, both elite fitness levels, both very pretty, very fit. One of them was a triathlete, and they would, or even they would do these crazy runs, like 100-mile runs. I'm doing a 75-mile race or a 300-mile bike ride, like really crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Her focus was, that was her hobby. That was her love. That was her passion, was on these cardio-based programs. Her sister, so same parents, certainly their bodies are going to work more similar than most that are, friends or whatever, but she focused on lifting. So even though the one sister worked out way more, the one that was lifting more could eat, it was like way hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of more calories a day for me.
Much more calories. I mean, it's that metabolic health. I mean, I always go back to KO because KO, I mean, what is she? She's like 66, but she is just like shredded. And when she first came to us, I think her calories are like somewhere between 1,250 and 1,300. She's at like 2,200 calories and she's 66, but she's ripped. Everybody looks at her and goes, I want your arms. I want, and she's still tiny and petite. And I mean, that's the goal. I know I would love 2,200 calories. And that's where I also say life isn't fair. Sometimes we draw the short straw on how many calories we can actually consume. Mine are a lot lower, but my muscle mass is a lot less as well. So if you want more calorie, don't be skipping the gym, man. Get your butt to Legacy. We're good at building muscle.
Well, we look forward to continuing to do these conversations. Next week will probably be a pause, or maybe at the end of the week, depending on how Coach Kim's feeling after her surgery. But I am certainly open for any questions. Kim is as well. We'll answer everything. It just might not be in the Zoom format. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Coach Kim, always bringing the truth. And
Yeah.
have a great day, everyone.
Have a good one.